Claiborne County Sports Zone is out at Claiborne High School. We're going to talk about last week's game against Johnson County with Coach Lee. Coach, I thought you had something going early, and turned out that turnovers got you in the end. What's your opinion of the game?
Yeah, we played a good first half. The offensive line was physical up front. Defense was doing theirs. They're doing their assignments well. Kind of struggled, towards the end, finishing that last drive. Really wish we could have finished that. Not had to take a timeout like a couple plays before the last, that sack. That way we could have used it right before the half. It was just small mistakes got us. First half though, ran the ball well, threw the ball well. Defense was playing lights out. A couple missed assignments here and there. But for the most part, it was a really good game. Just wasn't a complete game, obviously. Second half, kids may have thought, we might have this in the bag. If we played the first half the way we did, I think we'd have been fine. But, it was just small mistakes got us in that second half.
Okay, a big play that everybody was talking about afterwards was the no call on the pass to the far sideline. Neither defender was watching for the ball. One even had the receivers, face mask, and it was a tough call. And I think everybody, even on their side, thought it was going to be called, but it wasn't. How did your team act afterwards in the locker room?
Yeah, they were a little frustrated, but we kind of squashed that real quickly because, you give the refs any say in a game, you pretty much lost it because there's no point. Like you take care of business yourself. You don't let the white hats and the refs, the zebras, say anything about the game, whether it was PI or not. We didn't get 4 downs on that last drive. They only gave us 3 plays. That was a big issue. We turned it in. They're like, yeah, refs messed up. You only had 3 downs. You should have had a 4th down. Which at that point, it's not going to change the missed assignment we had, on the drive, their offense when we weren't aligned properly. They run that wing vertical. He's wide open. We talked to Owen Stone about that. He understood. He was out of place. Be like, if you give it up to the refs to do anything, to say anything about the ball game, you've pretty much lost.
Yeah, Owens, he's not in that situation usually. He's pretty solid back there. Mm-hmm. Okay, you started a new quarterback. He looked pretty good. You shouldn't have no complaints about that.
Yeah. He done. We talked to Noah Burke. He was very willing to go. Help the team in any other spot. He's a team player. Moved to receiver, started corner for us. He's a phenomenal athlete. He's no matter where he's at, like whether he's starting quarterback, he's going to be on the field or not.
He'll make a difference.
Yeah, he'll make a difference. Caden Levin, I can't speak highly of that, any more highly of that kid. He come in, knowing his situation. He's just wanted to help the team out the best way he could. Picked it up pretty quickly. He practiced quarterback for 3 days, and we put him in there, and he executed. There's some small things like not having to come out. He had nothing really flushed him out of the pocket a couple times. Towards the end, it got us there. He kind of threw the ball backwards. It was a fumble, but like nothing. We went back and watched film. Nothing pushed him out of the pocket, which that's pretty much his first game playing quarterback at the varsity level. He's a good athlete. He really managed the game like we needed him to. He's still learning some things offensively, but I'm extremely proud of him.
I think you probably could have still won the game, but the injury bug hit you again. Mm-hmm. Everybody was dinged up, seemed like. Talk about those injuries and how they are today.
Yeah, it was a physical football game. You schedule Johnson County like they're in our region. They're going to play hard. They've got a physical line. They had a very physical running back. They had a fullback that was extremely physical. Played linebacker as well. After 4 quarters of beating and banging, kids start to get a little bit dinged up. But nothing long term. We're looking at Aiden Rourke. He's back today. He kind of dinged his back up just a little bit.
Sore.
He's sore. He took a lot of shots and gave a lot of shots. But Eli Keck, he's doing all right. Rolled up on his ankle. We got him into therapy. Elevation's doing a phenomenal job taking care of our kids.
No cracks.
No cracks, no breaks,
Good.
Nothing. So we're going to take it easy with him. Moving forward, we'll probably have Pierce Tong starting center this Friday. But Pierce knows the offense well. He's a junior. He's big body, smart kid. Eli's gonna be right there in his corner all week. Helping him understand things. We limped out of that game, but we're walking now. We're good.
All right, you get the pleasure of going to GP this week.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's a pleasure or a curse. They're mighty good. What's your opinion of their team, and how can you approach this game?
Yeah, they
it's gonna be tough.
Like you see, the kids see the rankings. We see the rankings. They're probably top 2, top 3 in 3A football at the moment. They've got phenomenal athletes. Their line's not super big. They play low and physical though. They're a very disciplined football team. It doesn't. You don't have to be the biggest kid on the field to be the best kid on the field. But they do their jobs well. Coach Williams does a really good job over there. Offensively, they run a couple different sets. They may have 3 tight ends in the game and then put their best skill kid at receiver and just run a jet sweep. I mean, it's just, and if you over leverage this way, they're going to counter the other way. So they're pretty smart, play with their leverage well. Defensively, they run a 3-4. They're going to slant like crazy. They don't blitz near as much as some teams that I'm more familiar with. But the defensive linemen, they get where they're supposed to go in a hurry, and they're very disciplined on the back end. So we see some things we can take advantage of, play to our strengths, and it's going to be a
If they have a defense on or weakness on defense, would it be passing or running?
It'd be the running. We're bigger up front. We can move bodies. The kids, they know they're blocking assignments. Our offensive line's done a really, really good job. They looked 10 times better than they had the first 3 games, last Friday. They're communicating better, playing with a little bit of drive. After driving that sled as much as they did, a man, is a little bit different than a 300, 400-pound sled. So, but especially when we're working together, no, they're good. But offensive line wise, that's one of our strengths. Like we're gonna get 4 yards to carry. We've got the right blocking assignments. If they load the box, we need to have the ability to throw it, and it's something we're going to put a point of emphasis on this week because we're going to do something. They're going to take it away, and then we got to go somewhere else. But that's just the way football is. It's like chess.
Okay, you touched on it, but offensively, what will be your plan?
Yeah, offensively, we're going to move forward, running the football. They're going to have a 4-0-4 technique. So their B gap's a little bit wide open, but the way they slant, they could play games with it. But depending on how the kids are smart enough to understand who we're working to, we've got calls on offensive line that they can just call themselves. Elijah Port does a really good job of that. Noah Ott, we call him Maple. He does a good job. Spencer and Stanton, they work really well together. So I'm very pleased with how our offensive line's picked it up with our run game. But they've got the keys now. Like they've got the car. We just gave them the keys to do it, and they're rolling with it. So
okay, how are you going to try to get Wyatt more involved?
Yeah, I mean, he showed us some good stuff Friday night. I kind of told him, we're wanting to see that out of him. The first couple of weeks, he was wanting to bounce some run plays out when he didn't need to. Aiden Rourke does the same thing. I always tell him we're not the fastest team in the country. You get outside, I'd much rather you go straight downhill. Like the quickest way to the touchdown, is north-south. With the play is not designed to go outside, we just got to get as vertical as we can. Wyatt, he's going to get some more carries this week. Especially with the sets we're going to run, it'll make more sense that way. Which Colton Brewer done a pretty good job on Friday night.
Yes.
That fumble, it sucks, but that back judge there wasn't really moving much at all. So he kind of just stood. He was blocking our slants. He was running into our linebacker, our running backs. Linemen were having to run around him. But it was part of it. But no, Wyatt's going to get some more carries. He showed us. He's got the drive and the power. So
how will his skill set help you to this Friday?
He's a very much of a one cut back, as they call him. Like he's gonna stick his foot. If he sticks his foot in the ground and gets vertical, he's liable to get some speed going. But he's a little bit more elusive. He's probably our most elusive back we have. He's a big body. He's a little bit deceptively fast in some ways. But with a 3-4 defense, if you catch a crease, there's the only person there left is safety. Which the offensive line, they understand, we're not trying to block all 7 guys in the box. I want them to see a 3-2, and we'll roll with it. Like, the way the plays we're going to run, those outside linebackers, I don't care about them. Like, we're going to keep it inside.
Will GP be a better tackling team than Johnson?
Yeah.
Or is there much? No.
Yeah,
there's a difference.
Yeah, there's a big difference. They, it's going to take one kid's going to take you down just because I'm pretty sure they coach fundamentals all year round. Like, because you can tell they're a very disciplined football team. Everybody going into the year, teams I talk to, like, they're not very big. Well, like, not very big during 7-on-7 is not a big deal, you know. But like whenever the pads come on and like you kind of seen how they executed their game plans, it showed. But you know they're solid. They played Unicoi a couple weeks ago and beat them by 1 point, I believe. So you know everybody says they're the top 2 in the region. So like it's competition's not so far fetched as people think.
Okay, if you were to grade your offense this year so far, what would the grade be?
D+. I give them a D+. Yeah, we've got, I think in the first 4 games close to 13, 15 turnovers. We've not took care of the football.
I agree.
Kids are, we're starting to catch a groove. But we got to understand we can't just go, here and there. It's got to be consistent the whole way up.
Okay, defense-wise, same thing.
I would say, the first couple games, I'm sure Coach West probably give them an F. But that I'm telling you that, like, Friday night we played well. Like, they couldn't run the ball. That running back they had he was like up for Conference Player of the Year last year. He got hurt like late last year. He's a good running back. They had a good fullback, and we had kids playing physical that we were waiting for. Like Sean Vlad come downhill hitting somebody. Corbin Whitaker had a really good game.
He did.
Defense, pretty much all the way across the board on defense, minus a couple missed assignments, which we talked about that. All it takes is one. Like they catch a 65-yard pass and they're on the 2-yard line, so it makes things a lot harder.
How are you going to get? Speaking of Corbin, how are you going to get him more involved in the passing game? I mean, you've got a spot there that you should use more often. I think.
Yeah.
How do you get him open?
Around
the linebackers, behind the linebackers.
Absolutely. He's gonna have to run his route first and foremost. He's got a backside drag sometimes in our pass concepts. There's no urgency to get open. But now the ability's there. Pretty much all night we've seen their strong safety, but as soon as the ball would snap, he would roll down in the box and he would sit over top of Corbin. And I was like, they're taking that away. So that's where we come to fish on the slant and the fade. I was trying to hit Caden Williams over the middle. Like that. Teams are honoring him a little bit. We're going to have to find a way to get him outside a little bit more. Against Volunteer, if he had run the right route a couple times, he'd been wide open, which we've seen that on film. We corrected it. So we're going to come back to it. But he's definitely a tool for us.
He's a smart kid too. He'll figure it out.
Yep.
Okay. Talk about the environment that these kids are going to go in.
Yeah, they're I'd say we're a little battle hardened right now. We've told them, the first couple weeks of the season, we call those teams buzzsaws. Happy Valley's probably top of their region. Like it's going to come down to them in South Green. They actually beat Unicoi the other day. Happy Valley did. Great football team. Volunteers on a high right now. Granger was having a pretty good start of their season. The environment, they've got money there. Sevier County Schools, it is what it is. They don't care. Our kids are going, we're going there for one purpose. We're going to play football. We're going to play our football. No lights are too bright. As long as we play who we are and do what we can do, we'll be fine. Slow the game down. Keep it, not try to play their game. Let's play our game.
All right. You touched on it. My next question again, but what are the keys if Claiborne Wills compete well enough to win?
Slow the game down. We know they've got good athletes. They kind of get to pick who they want most of the time. Those kids work hard. They've got a running back getting recruited by, a couple D1 schools, a couple D2 schools. He's a good athlete. You can tell he's worked hard in the weight room. He's fast. We got to slow the game down. Defensively, we just got to stay disciplined on the back end. Honor their pass game, but G-Pit, everybody sees them, they probably got spread kids. They run the football. That's their model. They're going to run the football. They're going to run buck. They're going to run counter. They're going to run, leads. Power G, it's just that's their game. So if we can play that football game, I feel like we match up better than probably what most people think.
All right, good luck Friday, and I'm happy you talked to me once again.
Thank you.